welcome to the very first episode of the Refounded Republic. This one's not about politics, this one's not about left or right, or even what this podcast will eventually become. This is about me. You know, I, Jesse Monroe, the man behind the voice you're hearing. Because before you decide to stand with me, before you decide to take this journey with me, you need to know who I am and why I fight. I'm not a politician. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a career activist. I'm a man who's seen what this country has become, who's felt the weight of watching freedom slip away, and who refuses to sit back and do nothing about it. You know, I believe in God with everything I am. But like many of you, I've struggled to figure out where I fit in the Christian world anymore. I've seen churches corrupted by power. I've seen people use faith as a weapon instead of a guide. So I don't understand, and I don't want to stand here and place a label on my faith. All I know is this: there is a God above, and I answered him alone. You know, my roots run deep. You know, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. You know, generations of warriors and builders who didn't bow down when their people were under threat. You know, that same blood runs through my veins. And it's why I refuse to be silent today. You know, I've been through dark places in my life. I've made mistakes. I've seen addiction, pain, and loss. But I've also seen redemption, growth, and the power of standing back up when the world tries to knock you down. And that's why this isn't just another show. This is a fight for something bigger than me, bigger than you, bigger than all of us. This is about a freedom. This is about truth, and this is a way to take back what has been stolen from us. So tonight, I'm not asking you to fight for me. I'm simply asking you to listen. You know, listen to my story. Understand where I come from, and decide for yourself if you believe in what we're about to build here together. This isn't an episode about politics or plans. It's about planting a seed and calling it a foundation of trust. Because if you don't know who I am and why I fight, you'll never understand why the Refounded Republic must exist. So by the end of the night, you'll know the man behind this microphone. And from here forward, we'll take the fight to the ones who thought we would stay silent forever. So this is episode 1. This is my story. And this is where it all begins. Alright, so, me. I wasn't born into wealth or power. I wasn't handed this life with a silver spoon or an easy road. I come from working class people. Men and women who built their lives with their own hands. My blood runs back to Ireland, Scotland. You know, my ancestors were, like I said, the warriors and survivors. They fought against tyranny like we're seeing today. You know, they stood their ground and passed down a legacy of resilience and grit. That blood still runs through me and all of us today. You know, my father taught me the value of hard work. My mother taught me compassion, strength, love, care. And together, my family gave me a foundation that shaped everything that I am today. Yeah. I had my struggles. You know, that fires that forged me. You know, life hasn't been easy. I faced battles most people never see. There were times when darkness surrounded me, addiction, pain, loss. and the temptation to give up completely. I know what it feels like to fall. I know what it feels like to be broken. But I also know what it feels like to rise again. Those struggles didn't destroy me, they forged me. They taught me empathy, they taught me strength. And they taught me that a man's character isn't proven in his victories, but in his refusal to stay down after the defeat. That's why this podcast, this movement, this isn't just some project for me. It's personal. Because I've lived through the battles in my own life, and I see those same battles being waged on a national scale right now. My faith, the core of who I am, my faith in God is everything, to me. I may not talk about it, I may not go around and witness, but like many of you, I've wrestled with what that means in today's world. Like I mentioned before, I've seen churches twisted by politics. I've watched people weaponize scripture for their own gain. Mega churches, and all that. I've been hurt by hypocrisy and corruption inside institutions that were supposed to stand for the truth. So where does it leave me at? It leaves me with a direct relationship with my God. God. Yahweh. The sound of breath, of life itself. Breathe in, breathe out. It's the name of the Lord. I don't have no middlemen, no labels, no politics in the pews. I may not fit neatly into a box of what others call a Christian, but I know this. There is a God above, and like I said before, I answer to Him alone. So everything that I do, this podcast, this fight, this mission, flows from that foundation of faith and honesty. So that leads to my why. Why can't I stay silent? For years, I watched this country fall apart. I saw the lies grow bolder, the corruption grow deeper, and the people grow more divided. For a long time, though, I thought somebody would step up. Somebody would fix it. No. So I thought someone with more influence, more resources, more power would step up and lead. But they didn't. So I realized maybe I was supposed to be that someone. Not because I'm perfect, not because I have all the answers, but because I refuse to stay silent while my country dies. Especially in the eyes of what has recently, happened. And that is why this movement exists. The refounded republic isn't about nostalgia. We're going back in time. It's about taking the founding ideas of this nation, freedom, truth, justice, and breathing life back into them. We are standing at a crossroads, ladies and gentlemen. You have one side, which is tyranny, lies, and control. And on the other side is liberty and the people's right to govern themselves. Right now, I would say the wrong side is winning, but not for long. So, I know this wasn't very long. I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit and talk about kind of just a tad, just a little bit of who I am so that you can see that this first episode it's just about me at the moment. I wanted to give you a raw, unfiltered, honest sneak peek just into my own who I am. So the next time in episode 2, we can start laying out the full mission. If you have questions, concerns, whatever, message me. We got a Facebook up. It's always up. It's always there. I would like to hear what people think about this country at the moment. What's happening, what's going on, how they feel, what their families are like. What is the constant struggle in everyday concerns living in America in 2025? What is it like living under a democracy instead of a true republic? Our forefathers in 1776 did not say that they wanted a democracy. Democracy is the work of Lucifer. It's never succeeded any time in mankind's history. In the history of this world, it's always failed. Democracy is created to keep us separated. The more we're separated, the more weak we become. So, don't be woke, be awake. So, what we're going to do this next episode is we'll talk about what the refounded republic truly is and what it stands for, and how together we can build a movement that cannot be silenced. But tonight, I want to leave you with this. You now know a little about who I am. As we go, you will learn more and more about me as the same as I will learn about you. It is with this that is the weapon that could be taken to the evil that we are seeing in works. So if you know my struggles, my faith, and my heart, and vice versa to you, and if you believe in freedom and truth and in the fight for this nation's soul, you're in the right place. So I'd like to welcome all of you to the refounded republic. And this is just the beginning.